Okay, cool. Thank you so much, everybody. Welcome to our training. My name is Leone Sonoro. I am joined by the CWT team. I will also be having our Central Valley CEC, Amelia Gayton. There she is. She will be joining us as well too. Welcome to our employment resource training with CWT, located in Menlo Park. We are joined by the wonderful staff at CWT, Lena Denny and Dr. Hedva Porat. They will be sharing with us some information detailing the CWT program, its requirements, and its benefits as well. So without further ado, we will go ahead and begin our questioning. So the very first question, what is your name, who do you work for, and what do you do?
So my name is Lena Denny. I am a vocational rehab specialist with the Compensated Work Therapy, it's CWT for short. I work with the veterans in individual placement and support, IPS, which is one of the components of our program, and I assist veterans finding and maintaining employment in the community. Hedva? Hedva, you're muted. Hedva, you're muted.
Okay, my name is Hedva. I have been with the CWT program for a long time. My main responsibilities are with program development and community relations. I also work very closely with our Transitional Work Experience program known as TWE, and during the presentation we will talk more about this program. Thank you.
All right, ladies, thank you for that. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next question. So can you tell us a little bit about what is the best thing about your job, Lena?
Okay, I enjoy helping veterans to rebuild their lives. Everyone can work and become self-sufficient and have a meaningful job and contribute to their community. So I always like to see the finished product after we deploy services to the veterans. Hedva?
I also enjoy very much this job. Otherwise, I would have not been here for such a long time. Even when you meet a veteran, you might think that, it's kind of, hey, what are the chances? Through the years, I found out that many more veterans can join the workforce than I thought, and they definitely think. And the most, enjoyable, gratifying experiences when they get jobs and they become managers and they call me and said, well, we need the shipping and receiving guy, but we need a good one. So I keep saying, where did you think you called? Remember? What are good here. So I can see magical transformation in people. And a job, please remember, it's more than a salary. It's about identity, it's about self-esteem, it's about self-confidence. There are all these good things that you cannot measure just with the dollar sign. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Tell us about the CWT program.
Well, the CWT program serves the San Francisco Peninsula and South Bay regions. Now with COVID, we have learned that we might be able to deploy services in other areas, doing it by video, doing telehealth. We are dedicated to help participants to improve their quality of life through vocational rehabilitation to employment. And our goal for the program and all the components is competitive employment. We assist veterans preparing for job search, providing them with job leads, interview skills, job retention tools, negotiation of accommodations, benefit counseling, among many other vocational services that we are able to provide to them. And we have several components that we'll later, touch bases. Hedva?
Yeah, as Lena mentioned, we are more than a job placement service. I'm proud to say to the veterans, I'm not a manpower. We don't get paid just if a veteran gets a job. Yeah, we get paid for it. but we are a very comprehensive program. We are looking at the whole person. Many of the veterans that come to us have multiple barriers to employment. So we work diligently and slowly with the veteran, trying to address the multitude barriers. And of course, we work very closely. It's a team approach. We work with mental health. We work with PTSD. We work with ATS. We work with the Veterans Criminal Justice. We work with Social Security. We work with EDD. You name it. Any agency that can provide relevant services will become our partner. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we'll move on to the next question. What employment opportunities or industries do you have to offer at this time?
Okay. So as I mentioned, our main goal is competitive employment. It's just depending how do we get to competitive employment, right? And so we have several components for the program. With that being said, we do not have a list of employers with a job waiting for the veteran, and fill them. Instead, we work with each individual to try to find their vocational interests, their skills. We look at their experience, and we help veterans finding employment in jobs that they enjoy. So in a short one, as far as competitive jobs, we are not like a temp agency with a bag of jobs waiting to be filled. Elba?
I don't know why the system mutes me. Evelina says we are proud to consider ourselves as veterans-centered program, meaning that it's not a cookie cutter. We don't have a list of jobs, or we have certain relationships with employers, and we feel mandated to fill these jobs. As Lina said, we are adjusting and approaching each person individually, and I don't want to get what it means individually. It means his medical condition, psychological condition, financial condition, housing, driver license, criminal record, credit line. All of these issues, all of these ingredients are being considered when we come up with the plan. I would like to mention, and maybe I will talk about it later, what kind of work assignments opportunities we have under the transitional work program, but we can come to it later.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. What advice would you give to our veterans when applying for your program?
Okay, well, I think the first and key element is motivation to go to work. So the motivation of each individual, it cannot be like the psychologist, the social worker motivation, the case manager motivation that you should go to work. It has to be them that really want to take that step. So they need to be motivated to work and open to ideas. We can be partners during the job search, and after they are employed, I can later share the consult process, so we all learn, what's required to come into the program. But, the key element is that this idea of going to work needs to be from the veteran. It can't be from, I think you should go and get a job, and I'm going to refer you to this program, because then we cannot have a partnership, and a partnership is key when they come to us. Eva?
And I will add that even if veterans don't think that they are motivated, I'm not sure that that's what they want to do with their life, I'm not sure that it's a good idea, I will invite them to take a risk. Just come and talk to us. Motivations can be developed, I see, can be developed during the encounter with the veteran, during the relationship that we are developing. And many veterans, I feel, they look at me when they come in and say, well, she's strange, she has an accent. And if she thinks that I'm going to work, she doesn't know what she's talking about. And lately and slowly, they start believing in themselves. They look at their how should I put this? The way they look at themselves change. So my advice to veterans and even to service providers, encourage your veteran to try. I mean, it's not, how should I put it, it's not a dangerous experience. Invite them to come and talk to us, to experience what's available. and we'll take it from there. So I would say the most important thing is to be willing to try, to take a calculated risk. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ladies, for that. So now we're going to move on to some CWT-specific questions. And let me go ahead and ask, what makes your program unique?
Okay. So as we've been talking through the presentation, can you scroll a little higher where we have the, there we go. We have, our program has a couple different components, you know what I mean? We have a goal, which is employment. It's just about which road are we going to take to get to that goal. I work specifically for the Individual Placement and Support Program, IPS. You will see it in blue on the bottom. And the community-based employment, which is right on the top. So now these two programs are very similar in what we do. We both look for, when the veterans are referred to us, our goal is to help them to find a job, a competitive job in the community. And we help them through the entire job search. You know, if they don't have a resume, we build one. If they have one, we work with what they have, what kind of skills. So many things. I mean, if you ever look for a job, you know what it takes to find one, right? And we help them with every nitty-gritty detail of looking for work, from providing job leads to preparations with mock interviews, informational interviews, anything. Now, with that being said, once they are employed, we work with them with job retention. So both programs do exact the same things. We do job retention, job accommodations, processing medical leave if they need medical leave, anything that has to do with employment, that's our territory, and we work with the veteran. What makes the programs unique is Individual Placement and Support is a program that is dedicated for veterans that have mental illness. Anyone that has psychosis, schizophrenia, they have bipolar disorder, and they may have active symptoms, we take them. You know, as long as they want to go to work, we take them and we offer the support in the community. Both programs deploy services in the community. The veterans don't have to come into our office. We meet them where they are. If they want to meet in the office, we meet in the office, of course. But we go to employers. We meet them in the lunch break, before work, after work. So we're extremely flexible. That's very unique. You don't see that very often. The main difference between both programs is, one, the population we service. Like I mentioned, IPS is for veterans with mental illness. CVES is for veterans that do not meet the mental illness criteria but still have barriers for employment. The other difference is the time length on the program. With community-based employment, CVES, the one that, you know, is like a catch-all, they are placed, and technically they have 90 days of follow-up. However, if the veteran needs more follow-up beyond 90 days, we're flexible on that, and the case manager will stay with the veteran. For Individual Placement and Support, IPS, I have an eternal caseload. Veterans only leave when they don't want my services anymore. I have a veteran that has been with me for the past 14 years through many, many jobs. So that one is like a lifetime kind of, no commitment because they can break up with me, but, you know, as long as they need me, they can stay here. Eva?
Yeah, so before I talk about, I'm connected and I work closely with the Transitional Work Program, but I think what's unique about all the CWT programs, again, as I said, it's not like a cookie cutter. If you come to the program, we will triage the person, see what the needs are, and then we will refer them to the program that we think is more suitable. And of course, during our encounter and relationship with the program, veterans can move from program to program. So this, I think, what's unique and what I would like the providers, please don't feel anxious if you don't remember all these details, okay? Call us and we can provide you more information at home. The transitional work experience, has in mind or works better with veterans that are not job ready. And they're not job ready for many reasons. They're not job ready because they're homeless. They're not job ready because they're still struggling with addiction issue. They're not job ready because they They are involved in the criminal justice system. They are not job ready because they don't have a driver license. Of course, they don't have a car. They don't even have a social security card. So all these veterans, and they don't know what they want to do, and they didn't work for many, many years. So for all these veterans that we don't feel that we can do a resume and move them in the community, we are developing what we call work assignments. Mainly it's within the VA, but definitely we are trying seriously to branch out in the community. And this work experience are an interesting concept. They will work, let's say, many of our VA services, but they are not VA employees. This means that they are not fingerprinted, which is a big advantage at the beginning. So we don't have to deal with security clearance, which is very important. But the short side of this is that we are really limited to types of services where the person can fulfill the duties without having an access to the VA computer. Saying that means that we are really limited to shipping and receiving, to our supply chain, to our IT, to our housekeeping, to our food service, to where else, and many other services that, again, does not require access to the computer. The veterans can be in this type of a program, we hope, not more than 12 months. And at the end of these 12 months, basically, towards the end of this time, we are helping the veterans obtain competitive employment. We work on all these things that are required, again, applications, resume, references, defining what job they want, learning how to interview, closing for the interview. All these things will be available, so when they go out and apply for a job, they will be successful. We have another program, only if you can move a little down to our transitional residents. The VA has 2 houses in Menlo Park with 10 beds, where we are accommodating veterans basically that are homeless, but they have to have either a job in the community or a CWE work assignment. We have 2 house managers, 1 house manager in each job that are graduates of our program. And the veterans are not paying rent, but are paying veterans program fees. Nothing else to get veterans adjusted or acquainted or accepted that, you'll have to pay rent eventually and on time. Unfortunately, these houses right now are on hold because of the pandemic. We cannot house 2 veterans in 1 room. And many of our veterans were able to get through HUD-VASH to get their own permanent housing, and we are not admitting right now new veterans to this program. We have another program in development, which is our supported education, and basically, and we are developing, as I said, but we are planning to provide resources and support to any veteran that's interested in returning back to school, and school doesn't need to be a college or a junior college, can be a training in the community, help them identify the career, registering, paying the tuition, completing, and later if they will be interested, helping them with employment. And this program is under construction right now. Thank you.
Okay, and
awesome. So the next question are, what are the requirements? And let me go ahead and pull the consult sheets really quick.
Okay, so I will talk about the consult process. I used to triage from the backup to triage consults when they come into our program. So veterans that would like to participate in the Compensated Work Therapy Program, they need to be receiving services within the VA Palo Alto healthcare system. They need to have a provider. We do not take walk-ins or self-referrals. We are like a prescription. The doctor, the psychologist, a clinical social worker, we prescribe employment, which has no side effects besides earning more money and having a meaningful life. And so they refer them to us. So one of the things that is very important is a medical clearance. Now, I want you all to understand that the referral and the medical clearance are all part of the clinical record of the veteran. So these are no papers that the veterans need to get and bring back or anything. All this is electronic and it's in the VA record, and there are templates that are already created in there that providers are familiar with. And if they are not familiar with those, they can certainly call us and we can walk them through it. When a veteran expresses interest to a social worker or a psychologist or the psychiatrist or the primary care physician that they would like to work, or if they have a job and need assistance with employment, which is another important piece of CWT, job retention. I have a job, but I'm about to get fired, or I have a job, but I am underemployed and I need help, or I have a job, but I'm having issues and I need accommodations. I need help on how to process that. All those type of services we offer. So when the veteran express that need, they need to go and get a medical clearance from their provider, from their primary care provider. They will let them know, hey, I'm trying to get services from CWT. They told me I need a CWT medical clearance. The provider, they're familiar, some of them are not, and they know what the medical clearance is. This is like a checklist that said, yes, I can stand, I can jump, I can lift, these are my limitations, I can walk, all these different things. So we know what they can physically do and don't put them in assignments that they're going to, be hurt, right? Once they have a medical clearance, then the referral source will send us the CWT consult. It's a consult just like any other consult when, veteran's going to get a pair of glasses or, prosthetics or whatever it is. It's the same type of process. They fill all the blanks. We get the consult. Our psychologist, Dr. Nana, reviews the consult, and her information is right there in the sheet. And then we'll triage the veteran. And like Hedva mentioned before, we try to figure out which one of our vocational programs will be the one that is going to be more effective for them, right? So some of them will go to transitional work, some of them will go to CVS, some of them will go to IPS. Depending what the challenges are, we will try to personalize it to them. So that's it, and then so once we figure out where the veteran is going to go, then they will receive a phone call from one of us saying, hey, we would like to invite you to an orientation to tell you about our program, and we have a sit-down conversation talking about the nitty-gritty of the services we provide, what services they think they need, what their expectations are, what they have done before as far as employment, and we go from there. After the orientation, we schedule an intake if the veterans would like to participate. We usually give them a couple of days to think and process this, because this is a program, so this is not just like, I just call you when I don't have a job, but you give me a job lead and then I disappear. No, it is a program. They need to do action planning. We need to meet at a bare minimum of once per month, and that's just like the bare minimum. So there are responsibilities that we have towards each other, the veterans towards us and us towards the veteran. Helga, do you have anything to add?
Not much, but I just want to kind of clarify why we need this document. Because, like Hillary Clinton said, it takes a village to raise a child. Takes a village to support a veteran. So by having other providers involved in the case, like the person that has done the consulting, like the doctor that did the medical clearance, it allows us to work closely with other medical providers. Because remember, employment, it's, how should I put it, it's a presenting symptom. And this lack of employment, very often, there are very serious issues. It needs to be addressed not just by vocational rehabilitation people, but by other type of providers. Another thing which I want to encourage providers, please don't get discouraged by all these requirements, so to speak, that we have. Please feel free when you are in doubt to call Lina or myself, or we'll give you a list of other providers. We are very happy to answer questions. So please feel free to call us when in doubt. We are there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ladies. And then our last question, what expectations do you have for your veterans?
Okay, as I've been mentioning, I expect partnership. I expect a partnership where we will be both looking for work and communicating regularly. Once we secure employment, the communication needs to continue to be able to help with job retention. We expect to meet with the veteran at a minimum rate of once per month. More meetings are certainly encouraged when doing job search or doing job retention. But I just don't want, every time I intake a veteran, I just set the expectation. Don't think that I'm just going to go and chase you with job leads and you are going to just kind of, decline. No, this is both of us. This is a total partnership, and that's the best, way to approach the employment piece. Hedva?
Yeah, I think that the word partnership is very important. We are not magicians. We don't create magic, but we can create difference if we are going to work together. Also, what I think that is happening, even without mentioning it, is to build the trust between the veteran and us. Because for the veterans to come and not disclose all his, hesitations, fears, anxiety, all his criminal record, I always tell the veteran, I can market anybody. We have people that are coming to us straight from San Quentin, so to speak. And I feel very comfortable. Once I know you and I understand, I feel comfortable picking up the phone and trying to advocate for you, but you have to be honest with us. It's the most important. I need to know exactly what are we marketing, so to speak. And the trust is big. Very rarely I found myself that there are important information that the veteran did disclose, and of course it's not available in the medical file. And again, it's partnership. I always say, I cannot dance by myself. The two of us can be on the dancing floor. I can try and dance few steps first, but you'll have to join me sooner than later. So it's like a dance. We need two for the team, for the dance. Thank you.
All right. So, for questions, concerns, what would be the best method to contact you? And let me go ahead and pull up that SharePoint really quick.
So that's our team right there. Given that COVID has limited, or face-to-face meetings, we decided let's just have one with our pictures on it so people know who they're talking in the other side of the phone. And so that's our team. I think the main contact is my name in there. It says Lina Denny, with my email and my extension number. And I also sent Mioni, just in case, the whole list of every contact in every number, of our team. But via email, it's probably, the most efficient, because we respond to that right away. I do get messages when they're called into my extension. I do reply to my messages, but emails are super efficient. Heva?
Yeah, the same. And I think we have another flyer that we send only with our names and our email addresses. And since these emails are for public information, I personally don't mind if you are going to share it with your client. My email address.
Okay, I will go ahead and send that one out. That one's having some issues loading. But I will send it to all the participants in the invite as soon as we're finished with the presentation. But it looks like that is our very last question. So I'm going to go ahead and open the floor to our participants. Anybody that has any questions or comments that they would like to share, please, say your name, who you work for, and go ahead and ask your question.
I think we did an amazing job covering everything so clearly that there are no questions. Wow.
Hello. Hey. Hi. This is Jaime from Stockton, Central Valley. Thank you for putting on this presentation. I was wondering, I guess I know a lot of the services are mainly in the South Bay for CWT. What do you guys think? I guess we could do in the Central Valley for our veterans out here.
So Jaime, as I was mentioning, with COVID, we have learned that we can deploy services to web, doing video telehealth, doing a lot of fun. That's why I've been doing services with a lot of my veterans in the local area. Depending in what program, they are going to. Obviously, for transitional work, it's close to impossible to have it in Stockton because the assignments are all the way over here. But with programs like CVS and IPS, which are community-based employment programs, we are trying to see if we can guide the veterans through the job search. Sometimes people, have connections in their own community and they just need to have more of a structure and organization and somebody to pick their brain as to what is it I'm doing that I'm not getting responses. We can take a look on those resumes. We can do mock interviews with them and just try to troubleshoot, long distance. Also, we're trying to build a partnership with Amelia, who is very familiar with the area, so she can maybe connect to more, one-on-one, and when the time changes, maybe face-to-face, in-person type of services. But as far as CWT is concerned, we can guide them through it using telehealth.
And I would like to add, we use our imagination. So, for example, right now I have a veteran that lives in Stockton, and he cannot have, for many reasons, which I'm not going to describe, he cannot get a competitive job, so he's interested in transitional work assignment. So we are trying to place him in Livermore. Now, there is a shuttle from the Stockton VA to Livermore, but the hours are not the same hours that the shifts in Livermore are available. So we are trying to negotiate to see if we can modify the working hours so he can use the VA shuttle. It's not for everybody because it's a long trip. By the time he leaves his home, he needs to take a bus to the VA in Stockton, then he gets on the shuttle. So I would dare to say it's about an hour and a half each way. So you may be paid for 7-8 hours, and you will be working almost 11 hours. But that's true for many of us in Silicon Valley. I commute, I would say, about 40 minutes in a good day to my job. So again, what I'm recommending, Jaime and everybody else, give us a call. Let's talk about it.
Thank you.
That was a great question, Jaime. Any other additional questions from anybody?
Hi, this is Favor. Just a quick clarification. Did you say that a clinical social worker can do the refer form? Because my understanding is that the mental health practitioner or the medical doctor alone can do it.
So, So historically, that's how it was created, and I just want you guys to know that these rules come from up above, central office. We do not make up these rules. We're just the messenger. However, given the challenges that we were having, they have opened up to licensed, clinical licensed social workers. So a master's level social worker will not qualify for it, but if you're a licensed social worker, it does. Also a licensed psychologist, a psychiatrist, a primary care physician, a registered nurse, all of those. The medical clearance, however, needs to be done by a primary care physician. The medical clearance is something completely different.
Or a nurse practitioner.
Oh, a nurse practitioner, correct. And it's a must for us to be able to process the consult. So I always suggest to the providers to have the veterans get this medical clearance. And it's a good exercise to see how vested they are in this goal, right? And once they get this medical clearance, put through the consult, and it just goes very quickly. You know, our goal is to reach out to the veterans, I think, within 3 days, a max of 5 or so. And we average like a day or 2 to reach out to the veteran once we get the clearance. So it's very quick.
I have a question. So for the medical clearances, we have some veterans that are on the outlining area that maybe, you know, they plan on moving closer to Palo Alto or Menlo Park. Can they go through physical on the outside service and then provide that physical to their primary care physician? Will that work as well, or do they have to get that appointment through the VA?
I think that this is a very interesting legalistic question. I'm not sure that I fully understand about the services that veterans can get from providers outside of the VA and what's the communication between the outside provider and our providers. But if you have such a case, you know, I always like to challenge myself and challenge the system. Let's do it. If the veteran doesn't have a way to get a medical clearance because he lives too far or he lives wherever he lives, yeah, let's try. We can try and justify it. But I think for your program, right, you don't require medical clearance and so forth.
So, Neoni, when I was processing consults, a scenario like the one that you described, if the veteran comes to a VA physician with a clearance from an outside provider and the VA provider feels comfortable enough to enter the clearance on the CPRS record based on what somebody else said, you know, more power to them. As long as the medical clearance is reflected in their medical record, we will take it. But that depends on how comfortable the physicians feel with something like that. It's nothing that we control. It's the primary care.
Okay, thank you so much.
We do talk to physicians. Okay, we do talk to the physicians. They have phone numbers. We talk to them very often. We have physicians that are reluctant to do a medical clearance for employment. They say that they were not trained in medical school how to do employment evaluation. They have questions and we have questions. So I talk, not often, but also in many cases I did pick up the phone and talk to the physician. Especially we have cases, just for anecdotal, the doctor said that the veterans cannot walk for more than 15 minutes or cannot climb stairs. And the veteran said, what is he talking about? I'm fine, I can walk, I play basketball. So I said, so how did the doctor misunderstood you? So you hear stories, like in one of our programs, there is an elevator. And the veteran, in order to use the elevator, you have to get the doctor permission. So he went to the doctor's complaint so he can take the elevator. Now that he's looking for employment, miraculously he's fine and he doesn't have to take the elevator and he can play. So it's really important sometimes to look more carefully, say, so tell me the rest of the story. And so we work closely with our provider and our referral sources.
Another thing, Neoni, is that I also remember when I didn't have clearances when I had a consult, is that I will look into the medical record to see when was the last time the veteran was in the GMC clinic, the general medicine clinic, and I'll email the provider to say, hey, Mr. So-and-so met with you like such and such a date, like within 30 days, maybe, maybe 60, can you complete a clearance based on that last meeting that you have with the veteran? So they don't have to necessarily make a whole brand new appointment to be checked, but just remind the medical team. And that's something that I tell the veterans to do too. Hey, you saw the doctor in such and such a day. Tell them that if they can do a clearance for you based on that visit. And sometimes they do it. So it's not that complicated.
Awesome, thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Don't forget, you can also ask your questions in the chat box if you are unable to unmute your mic, or you can also just unmute your mic. But if you have any further questions, ask away.
I would recommend that don't feel it's your last chance. Not that this coupon will expire at the end of the day. Only will send you our contact. So if you want to talk more outside of this meeting, outside of this training, please feel free to call us.
Yeah, and if you have veterans that are interested, we can always do informal orientations. That's something that we practice a lot, with especially with the MECOM team, where they have veterans that they think that it could be a good fit, but before we get all this ball of clearances and consults rolling, we just meet with the veteran, meet with the provider, and just talk about it to see if in fact it makes sense. And that can be done informally too. We're always very, very flexible and open to chat.
All right. It doesn't look like I'm getting any kind of responses over to the chat from the chat box. We'll just go ahead and end the training right now. I will go ahead and email everybody that's in this training today the advertisement, as well as the point of contact information for the CWT team. I would like to close. Thank you so much for everybody to attending. Emilia, Lena, and Dr. Hedba, thank you so much for showing up and giving us your time for today's training. And I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Thank you, ladies.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
Well, hold on.
Somebody's
Yes,
going to say something real quick.
Oh, there we go. We got a question.
Yeah,
Sorry
about that. I don't have a question. I just want to say that you ladies did a great, fabulous job of the presentation. I was listening over the phone. You guys were very on point in everything. It's one of the best presentations I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Now we are waiting for your calls.
Oh, cool. Thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah, thank you, ladies.
Right.
This was great.
Bye.
We appreciate you all.